The starting point for anyone looking for a building plot are the online databases like Plot Finder, where they register all building plots and renovation opportunities for sale across the UK, both from estate agents and from private vendors.
There are lots of ways to find a building plot, but one good little tip is to get proactive and look on the local authority website. Look at the planning applications actually currently in progress. Find out who's bringing plots forward. Maybe you can get in and contact these people before the plots even come on the market.
When you're looking for a plot, don't just look for a plot. A vast number of self-builders these days are actually demolitions and rebuilds of existing houses rather than on virgin greenfield sites. And many estate agents obviously don't realise that, so make sure you're looking for bungalows and houses as well as virgin building plots.
Never buy a building plot without planning permission or an existing dwelling for replacement unless you really know what you're doing. It's just not worth the risk.
I think it's really important when you buy a site, just bear in mind outline planning permission has a lifespan of 3 years, so make sure that when you buy your site or you enter into a contract on your site that 3 years is still ticking. Because if it lapses, there's absolutely no guarantee that you're necessarily going to get planning permission again.
Feed-in tariffs and renewable heating incentives have changed the game when it comes to finding a plot. If you can find a plot that's capable of supporting a 5 kilowatt wind turbine and a heat pump, then essentially you have an all-electric house, and it could be free to run and free of CO2 emissions.
You need to know how to value a plot of land. A plot of land gets its value by reference to the house that can, would or should be built upon it. The land cost plus the build cost plus a 20 to 30% margin should add up to the end value of the house. So start with the answer to the equation, the end value, and then learn to juggle the other 3 elements of the equation.
When you're planning a self-build, it's best not to get carried away with your dreams. Understandable, but really need to focus on very simple things like finding a plot that will go through the planning process. You need to establish the principle of development, and that needs to be in line with planning policy.
Anybody looking for a plot needs to be very careful of some of the scam deals that are out there. If a plot seems too good to be true and too cheap for the area, it's probably because it hasn't really got any chance of ever really getting planning permission, so don't buy on hope value.
If you're going to buy a plot of land, just check out to see whether there are any hidden restrictive covenants. Much better to negotiate with the person that owns that covenant before buying the land than having to negotiate afterwards.
As a self-builder looking for land, you might want to consider using one of the enabling developers who are pioneering the custom build movement in the UK. They're property developers who are carving up bits of land for self-builds, and all across the country these plots are coming online. So check with your local authority and see if there's any available in your area.
Lots of self-builders currently being hit by community infrastructure levy charges or affordable housing levy charges on their planning permission. It can be tens of thousands of pounds. You can find out about this information before you buy your plot, and the key is to use a specialist solicitor for the conveyancing on the plot, somebody who deals with development sites.
And once you've finally found a plot, be aware that there may be 1 or 2 additional costs you have to meet. For instance, stamp duty, legal fees, and increasingly what we call the community infrastructure level, where local authorities may be asking for additional payments for local projects.
Always bear in mind there will be site constraints. It may be that there's a tree preservation order, a TPO, there may be ecology issues, there may be bats roosting on the site, there may be great crested newts in watercourses. There are site constraints, there may be access issues, there are difficulties with sites, and it's best to identify those early in the process, undertake a site assessment, evaluate those to check that you haven't got things that you can't overcome through the planning process.
Now is a great time to go out and look for plots. There's lots on the market and the builders and developers haven't been buying them. That might change soon because of the government initiatives recently. But right now there's a lot of plots on the market. Self-builders can get finance and they really should go out and look at plots. And there are some good plots around.